Good evening, everyone. It's Liam here with your MU review for Manchester United's 3-0 victory over Shrewsbury Town in the fifth round of the FA Cup. We've gone through to the quarterfinals for the second consecutive year under Louis van Gaal, and yeah, I'm more or less satisfied. It's a professional United performance, what you'd expect, no less than you'd expect from a side of our quality against a team, who are, 19th in League One in the third division of English football. But that being said, it's very important after two back-to-back, terrible defeats, away at Sunderland and Midtjylland to get ourselves back on track, get ourselves through in the cup competition, and get some confidence back in the team because that's something that we've really been bereft of recently. Obviously, we dominated the match. Shrewsbury never really laid a glove on us. I was worried going into the game that maybe we'd have some sort of, they would really have a good go at us, knowing that our confidence was low. But I think they respected us a bit too much, and they didn't really threaten throughout the game. At least not until the very end when we were playing with 10 men. Even then, we weren't brilliant in the first half. We weren't brilliant in the second half either. But we sort of kept fighting, kept control of the game, and you sort of knew the goal was going to come. We very unorthodox goal ultimately with Chris Smalling staying up after a corner and being the furthest player forward to latch on to Morgan Schneiderlin's header, and then his scrappy finish into the bottom corner. It was a goal we needed. If we'd gone into half time at 0-0, it might have petered out, or maybe even had Shrewsbury nick it, and that would have been the last thing we needed. That really would have been the last straw for Van Gaal, I think. But once Smalling scored, you didn't really have any doubts. And moving on in the game, right before half time, getting that second goal, a decent free kick from Juan Mata, although I think it was a bit unfair, per the new offside rule. I'm pretty sure that, 4 or 5 United players were offside in this weird little routine we had to kind of put the keeper off, but ref didn't flag for it, so I'm not going to complain. We were 2-0 up at half time, and you just sort of thought, that's it, done and dusted. My mate Jamie said, 2-0 is the most dangerous lead in football, and you're like, yeah, when you're playing a decent side, no disrespect to Shrewsbury, but they never looked like they were going to threaten us today. We found a way through, and that's always important. There was a time in the season, where we were drawing 0-0 every other week just because we couldn't score. Our defence was fine, we just couldn't score, and at least we've kicked that habit, and we can start at least letting the goals come and finding our way through. And we did have a few moments in the game, where we looked like we were really, really starting to click going forward. Martial earned the free kick that Mata scored from with a lovely little bit of interplay. So, there were the moments, but ultimately, you're not going to, jump for joy after beating a side like that because, with the team we put out, it wasn't exactly our under-21s, it was the strongest team we had available. We should have, beat them 3-0. In fact, we probably could have beaten them 4 or 5-0, and I still wouldn't have batted an eyelid, but ultimately a win's a win, and that's what we came here for, and that's what we got. Solid performance throughout the game, didn't have too many complaints. Obviously, the individual performances were decent. I thought Memphis was, hot and cold as he has been. Had some good moments, had some bad moments, but all in all, I'm satisfied. All I really I wanted us to get through because right now, as a United fan with 3 months still left in the season, I'm waiting for the Euros at this point. But I want something to cling on to this season, and at least staying in the FA Cup. At least until the middle of March will help, and then hopefully we can get to Wembley and kick on from there. But ultimately, this is all about re-establishing momentum. That's what this result was about, because I said it at the beginning of the month when we beat Stoke, and what was probably our best performance of the season, when we beat Stoke 3-0, it looked like we'd really turned a corner, and I said we needed to keep it up because February is such a big month for us. And then we went, and for 90 minutes against Chelsea we were keeping it up, and then for the 6 minutes of stoppage time we lost the plot and Diego Costa scored, and really from stoppage time at Stamford Bridge until now we've been in a slump. And that just kind of proves the point that I was making, that football is a game of momentum and luck and chance and skill and all sorts of things, but momentum is so important, not just in one match but over the course of a series of matches, and that's what we needed to maintain. I was so worried when Costa scored that equaliser, because on the face of it, drawing 1-1 at Stamford Bridge is never a bad result. Even when you're 1-0 up, it was still not a bad result. But the problem was it killed the momentum that we had finally generated. And, establishing chain reactions is something that you've got to do at this level. And I worry, and I wonder more than anything, what would our, February look like now if we hadn't conceded that goal? If we'd won that game 1-0, would we have lost to Sunderland? Would we have lost to Midtjylland? Those are the two results that have really soured everything, because you think if we could have held on and beat Chelsea, I mean, I'm not going to say that we would have, then gone and smashed Sunderland, but I don't know. I have this feeling that we go into those games with a different mindset, with less pressure on our shoulders, with more confidence, and then you never know what happens. And obviously, I don't want to hark on too much about something that's been and gone, but getting a 3-0 win today after 2 back-to-back defeats is very important, because we've got 3 games, including this one, that really is, going to define our season. We got through in the FA Cup, which we needed to. We need to get through in the Europa League on Thursday. We can't go out to Midtjylland. It's embarrassing. Ultimately, at this point, winning the Europa League is a long shot, especially with some of the talent in the competition. Tottenham, Fiorentina are playing each other. Dortmund and Porto are playing each other. But those teams are very, very dangerous. And if you're looking at what Midtjylland did to us, there are at least 15 teams of higher quality and still in the competition. So it's going to be a tall order for us to win it. But at least let us go out with some respect when we do go out. I'm not trying to go out to the Danish champions, all due respect to Midtjylland. I want us to at least get through to the next phase, get to the quarterfinals. Give us something to be, not necessarily proud of, but at least give us something to build on. Give us something to sort of, say, hey, we aren't complete crap. But anyway, this is a big result in the sense that it gets us through in the cup, and I'm not gonna praise Louis van Gaal too effusively for getting through to the quarterfinals of the cup 2 years in a row, because it has to be said, in the FA Cup we haven't won it for 12 years. The last time we won it was we beat Millwall in the final when Cristiano Ronaldo still had buck teeth and a bad dye job. So it's been a long time, and I would love to win this competition. Every year I want to win this competition, but ultimately the thing about it for me is that we've had an easy draw last year. We had, I think it was Yeovil, Cambridge United and Preston North End were our 3rd, 4th and 5th round. And so we got through to the quarterfinals, and as soon as we came up at any sort of quality in the form of Arsenal, we got beat. Sure, we probably, could have won that game, but, we got beaten ultimately, and that's what you can't do in the FA Cup. You can't lose in the FA Cup, you go out. And this year it's very similar. We got a relatively easy draw in the first round, and we made it difficult against Sheffield United, a League One side. Then we went and beat Derby County, Championship side, but we went and beat them in the 4th round. Now we've gone back to League One and won again. So we've not been tested yet. And now that we've got West Ham at home, who are a top 6 team, and honestly, I'm scared, because with Dimitri Payet on form, they could really give us a run, because they're going to pull no punches. They're playing a full strength team, and they could really do a job on us. So we need to buck up, and we need to show our quality, because you can't just coast to the FA Cup. You're never going to coast to the FA Cup. We've still got a relatively favourable draw. We've avoided Chelsea, we've avoided the likes of Arsenal, who aren't necessarily through yet, but we've got to go ahead and beat some Premier League opposition now to really prove the point that we can win the competition, and we deserve to, because I've said it before, I've said it 1,000 times. If regardless of what happens in the league, if we can win the FA Cup and win the Europa League, that's a successful season. We're in the Champions League and we've got 2 trophies in the cabinet, one of which we've not won before. So, the season's not lost. I'm not going to jump to conclusions and say we're going to do either of those things, but it's still possible. And as long as you're in these competitions, you've got to believe, you've got to fight for the badge on your shirt. And I just hope that that's what the players do. They go out there and they play with pride and they play with passion and they play to the fullest extent of their abilities. Because if they do that, you look at our squad, when we get some of our injured players back, which it shouldn't be too long now. I know Rooney's out for a while, Valencia, Shaw, Rojo, long-term absentees, but once we get some of these little niggly injuries back out of the team and get people back in, we can put a run together. We're capable, and we've got to believe in ourselves. All this doom and gloom surrounding Man United, it's not unfounded. I've been part of it myself, but we've got to believe. We've got to just believe in the talent of the players and give it everything to them, because you get out what you put in, and that goes for the players and the fans alike. So a man of the match today, Ander Herrera. He got a great assist for Lingard's 3rd goal, and all in all he just looked a lot better than he did against Midtjylland. He's one of those players who hasn't been regular in terms of consistent first team starts, and unfortunately this season he's not been quite as good as he was last year, so it's good to see him finding his rhythm again. But it wasn't a very clear cut man of the match today. No one person really did anything that I thought wowed me. You know, it was just sort of one of those things that it sort of petered out. I thought Will Keane was very unlucky to come off injured. You know, almost scoring his first senior goal. You know, smashed it against the post and then pulls his groin. You know, poor luck for the lad. I hope he gets back quickly. Not least of which because we can't really afford any more injuries. But anyway, yeah, youngsters did well. Solid performance through to the quarterfinals, and let's hope that this is. We said it every time we win, but let's just hope that this is the one. This is the kickstart to get us back on our feet again after another little rut that we've gone through. So thanks for watching. Comment if you got anything to say. Like and subscribe if you have enjoyed these videos and want to hear more. And yeah, just appreciate you watching.